All right, this is Paul Newman with the Cashflow Cafe podcast. Today we have Hana Haden on. Hana, I'm excited for you to tell your story. First of all, congrats on your 23-win regular season Sun Belt champs. That was awesome. And it hadn't been done in like 25 years. But Hana, in 1 minute or less, tell us all about yourself.
Oh, gosh, 1 minute or less. I'm a Missouri girl that I've been coaching. I think this is my 12th season. So really basketball has probably dominated my life since about the 5th grade on, and doing what you're about to be doing. My mom and grandparents chased me around watching me play AAU and all the way through college. And I went to college knowing that I wanted to coach, and was fortunate enough to get a coaching job right out of college, and have now been doing it for 12 years.
That's awesome. Tell us about what made you fall in love with the game of basketball.
Oh gosh, it's hard to think. I know I went to a camp when I was in 4th grade, and I'd never played before, and all the girls were a lot better than me, but I was really competitive. I've always been really competitive. Like if we're playing putt-putt or doing a puzzle, or it doesn't matter what it is. Like I want to be the best, or I want to do the puzzle the fastest. I mean, that's just kind of how I'm wired. And so I think going to that camp and seeing that I had some tools, but I was a little bit behind. I just kind of became obsessed. And I talk about Allen Iverson a lot too. Whenever I was growing up, now I did grow up in Southwest Missouri, where it was Southwest Missouri State at the time. It's now Missouri State, with the legendary Jackie Stiles. I mean, she took a mid-major to the Sweet 16 and to the Final Four, and I got to go to those games. So I kind of got to see
firsthand.
I mean, that was like Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, and so I got to witness that. So I credit that experience. And at the time, but on TV, it was going to be NBA, and I was obsessed with Allen Iverson because he was smaller than everybody.
The truth, or
he was just a dog.
Right?
The answer.
The answer, yeah.
Yes. So I would say, the Missouri State basketball program, and then being able to watch him on TV, that was probably my inspiration.
That's awesome. I had his shoes. What was it, the Q3 or something like that? I loved AI. I want to touch on competitiveness. It sounds like that's something that's kind of been in your life throughout. I have a daughter, and for all the girl dads out there, I thought like, I had to have a boy to feel that. Then I remember the first time Stella got knocked down in a soccer game, she started crying. She was about 5 years old. And I said, baby, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I wanted to score. And I said, so right then I knew. And I had remember getting this feeling going, man, this girl, I don't care what she does. She's going to be competitive. She's going to have that heart to want to win. And that was like so cool for me. It was like just a really neat moment that I won't forget. But competitiveness can take you so far.
Absolutely.
So the biggest influence in your journey to becoming a coach, what would you say?
I would just say, it's hard to name one, but I've had so many experiences playing on. So I played on every team that they'd let me play on growing up. I played on a boys team. I played on multiple travel teams. I think about, like we would have this league that we would go play, and say it'd be like Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I'd play on 2 different teams. So I might play 3 or 4 games, each night that we went out. And then, now, my family didn't have a lot of experience in college athletics, right? So I just say that to say I bounced around in college a little bit, which probably helps me, kind of in this era, because I understand.
See different styles and stuff like that, right?
That's right. But even some of these players, with some of the transferring stuff that's going on, sometimes I think like even well-intentioned people, don't always know exactly what they're looking for. So I just say that to say, my freshman year I played at the University of Missouri St. Louis. And my sophomore year, I played at Mineral Area, which is a junior college. And then my last 2 years, I finished up at Western Carolina. And so I would say all of those coaches, right, and all of those, my teammates, I mean, it all kind of influenced me. When I got to college, I kind of knew that I wanted to coach. And I joke around with my college coaches now that I thought I knew more than they did all the time. And was always challenging them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, from my high school coaches to my AAU coaches to my college coaches, like they all just kind of influenced me. And, I've been coaching 12 seasons, and I've been a head coach for 10 of those. So a lot of those is me kind of just, learning, getting thrown in the fire. But so really I had to lean on my experience as a player rather than like having several years as an assistant and, using other coaches' philosophies to kind of build up my own.
That's right.
I took the different philosophies from, when I played for different coaches and put it all together to create my coaching philosophy.
That's super cool. Who is your favorite coach of all time? If you had to say, man, I want my teams to play just like that or coach just like that.
Okay, so not that I played for.
Not that you played for, just like somebody that you think on TV, anybody that you're like, man, they have really got it down.
I mean, probably in today's world, to me, Don Staley is the standard. Don Staley and Gino, it's hard to not put him in there.
Of
And
course.
I think like they both balance, being adaptable, but they're still able to hold on to like that old school mentality. Like both of those coaches, they don't
put up with no crap.
That's right.
I want my kids coached by hard. I like it. I mean, I think it's good to be coached hard, and of course, you're going to coach your better players hard as well. So I don't mind the tough love. Now, I will say every kid is kind of different. Even my own kids, you got to coach them a little bit differently, but. I think the tough love is good, but now you're scared if you give them too much tough love, do they bounce and go to another school? Because they can super quick.
Yeah, that's true. I think if they're going to do that, they're probably going to do it anyway. So
that's right.
You probably just got to coach them hard and see where it takes you.
What do you say about the culture that you're trying to build at Georgia Southern? What would you touch on, and what would you like people to know about our culture?
I think after year one, my staff and I sat in a room kind of like this, and I had typed up some notes, and on the very first line, it said, culture wins and culture kills. And we wanted to make sure that we establish a winning culture. And it starts with recruiting, right? Like you can't just go recruit anybody and put them in a room and say, hey, now we value culture and we want this to be a sisterhood and we want all of these things. Like something that you really do have to establish by having the right people in the room. And then whenever they get there, it's having a really clear vision, right? Like young people, they need clear vision, they need consistency. And it's something you have to embody all the time, I would say. Like it can't be wishy-washy. You can't cut corners with it. You can't fake it. Like they're going to smell that from 100 miles away.
Right.
So you have to be really authentic with it. Again, you have to be unwavering. And, I think that was the huge difference for us going into year two. And a lot of times in recruiting, right, you're just trying to sell yourself. Like, you're trying to tell them how great of a situation it's going to be. And I think, going into year two, we were, knew we were going to have to rely on the portal a lot. And we're like, okay, how are we going to make sure that we get the right people in the locker room?
Right.
And this is probably the first time that I really tried to weed people out. And so we said, okay, how do we want our program to look, right? Like we're going to be engaged in the community. Our team has done 290 hours of community service since they got here in the fall. Well, we're not just going to spring that on them when they get here, right? So, when we're calling those players in the transfer portal, we're like, here's what we're going to do. This is going to be a sisterhood. We want you to value that. We want you to want to have those relationships with your teammates that, you're going to have 20 years down the road. Yep. We're going to be in the community. So if you don't want to do community service, this is probably not going to be a good fit for you.
Right.
We're going after the record in the GPA. So if you're not willing to at least really work at it, this is probably not going to be the best fit for you. And so I was joking with my assistants because after I would talk to them, we had a couple of people that wouldn't call us back anymore. But I think we got the right people in the locker room, and I think that translated to a lot of success for us this year.
Well, that's cool. And culture kills. Like when you talk about culture and there's certain things that can kill a culture, it's just that one bad attitude, that one bad apple, and it just affects so many. And it's just – I don't know. I love the saying, you're the 5 most people you hang around with the most, and that's where your life is headed. And it's like, if you've got this sulky, bad attitude and walking in negative, I mean, it just can infect the whole team. Absolutely. So trying to kind of weed out those and say, look, you got to carry yourself to a better attitude and higher standards.
Absolutely. That's the standard that we talk about. Like our standard is relentless effort and elite attitude. And those are 2 things that you can control every single day.
I love that. I need to tell that to my crew for sure. How do you balance pushing athletes to be great while still supporting them like as people?
Yeah, I think it's really built into the relationship, right? Like you have to be willing to invest the time to build those relationships where there's trust, and when they trust that you have their best interests and they trust that it's coming from the right place.
Right.
You can push these players. They want to be pushed. They want to be coached. I think when you do, whether it's let something slide or not push them to be their best, like they even feel that you're letting them down a little bit. But they do have to. I know when everybody talks about this generation and things like that, this generation still wants to be pushed and coached hard. I think it just you do have to have that relationship first. Right? Like the days of like just do what I said because I said so because this is my title, that is probably over.
Yeah.
So again, you've got to be willing to earn that trust, to build up that rapport. I think one thing for me, like I spent 5 years at junior college, and whenever I think the kind of moment for me when I realized like things were clicking is our players, and we sent. I don't even know how many players Division I. Every year, our top 5 and probably our next 2 off the bench went to Division I. And when they got to their new school and they'd call me like, Coach, they don't even corner stick. They don't guard the ball screen like this. They don't do this. And I was like, hey, like, that's not basketball law. That's just what we do. That's our principles. Now you need to get acclimated to your new coach and what that program is asking you to do. But I just kind of realized at that point, like, I think we were doing a great job teaching.
Yes.
To the point where they really believed that everything that we did was right, and just instilling that belief, and that they believed that, like, this is the recipe for success. And there's so many different ways to do things in basketball, but that's just kind of been my goal every year, is like have a team that's really bought in, and trusting, our entire staff and like what we're asking them to do and why we're asking them to do it. And once they get a little bit of success in that, and then you can really get rolling.
And calling you back after I think it's a huge compliment. I mean, I've never been like a coach at any like level like yours, but like to get the call back from your players that still care, and that shows the relationship that you've got your trust.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things is my first pro, Deanna Wilson. I coached her at junior college, and she went on to be one of the best players to ever play at Illinois State. And she's a pro. She plays overseas now. And, we've got 4 seniors on our team that have those aspirations. And she is connected with them, and she's helping them kind of navigate that process. And once our season finishes up, when it's time for them to sign with an agent, she's willing to kind of advise them. And this is a player, I haven't coached in 5 or 6 years.
Right.
That's still willing to help our current players. So I think those relationships are what's so important.
When you go out recruiting a young girl right now who's got dreams of playing at a higher level, what age do you start recruiting them? What things are you looking for? What tips would you give a young athlete really pushing to go to the next level?
Yeah, we start looking, at this level, probably you're going to be on our radar by freshman or sophomore year. We start seriously recruiting you probably at the end of that sophomore year, early, the summer before your junior year, is like when we would start to put those offers out. As far as like what we're looking for in players, like we have a very specific list, right? But character, competitiveness, skill set for your position, and then athleticism. And like those are the non-negotiables. So I think for an aspiring, young girl that wants to be a college athlete, play as much basketball as you can. There's all these debates on like, is it going with the trainer or is it playing more or whatever? Have a basketball in your hands. I think at the end of the day, I think the trainers are great. I think the more live basketball you can play, the better. 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, like just play. Obviously work on your skill set, but whenever you do get like, let's talk about even the older kids, like you're at a tournament or something like that, like everything matters, right? Like these coaches are, going to put, we say like giving a scholarship is, putting our livelihoods on the line. So
yeah.
What character are you demonstrating out there? And it's like, those can be separating factors, players that are, the first ones that get on the floor, that are hitting their teammates' hands, that are giving their coaches eye contact. Like, those are the big things that college coaches are looking for, because, you get to that next level, it's going to be hard. And we want to know, like, how are you going to respond in those moments?
I think one of the things you touched on is what kids aren't doing is just going out and playing. I mean, I don't know, of course, with you. And, I mean, I used to play all the time. You get off the school bus, you go play 3v3, 2-on-2, you play 21. I mean, I don't know if the neighborhoods aren't set up like that. I think it's the kids are on these games. I mean, I don't know if a lot of girls are getting pushed into other sports, but it's like around here, basketball is just not not what I want it to be. And I don't know, it's hard. It's like hard to get these kids to go play, get some friends up, go do 2-on-2, 3-on-3. It's just not happening though.
Absolutely. And I hate that for them, because I feel like just missing out on, fun and it's character building, right? Like out there playing 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, or, when you go, whether it's the park or the rec, and it's 5-on-5, you're trying to get picked up next.
Pick up next. Yeah, who's got
like,
next? I mean, that's it. That's
right.
The ticket. That's how you get better. So sometimes fans may not realize, about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. What would you share that the average fan doesn't know about how much work these college girls are putting in, and like all the time and dedication they're putting in?
Yeah, well, a typical day just in what's required, say for our players, is, obviously they're going to go to class. Most days we're going to have at least a 30-minute film session. We're going to have a 2-hour practice. A lot of those days they're going to have a 45-minute to an hour lift. They're going to have an hour study hall. And we in college athletics, in our program, that's the bare minimum, right? Like that is just what.
And that's
required.
Almost like what? Just adding that up, is that like that's like about 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
At least about 4 hours spent on basketball, and that's the men,
Right.
So it truly becomes like, I don't know how these college kids, especially good athletes, are they can't really earn this. I mean, yes, you can get NIL and stuff like that, but you don't have a lot of time. You are dedicated to your craft.
Absolutely. And so you think about it, like, all 15 young women on our team spend those 4 hours, and 7 of them play, and those 7 they spend an additional hour every day, and that's what I think was so special about our team this year is that our seniors and our leaders, and they spent a ton of time in the gym, and they're doing and again an additional individual workout every single day. And you have to, obviously time management, but it's got to be a priority to you. It's got to mean something to you. And that's what I'm so proud of this group and the way that they represented our program and our university this year. Like, it meant something to them. And we talk about, like, you have to be a team that deserves to win.
Right.
By what you do. And this year's team, they deserved to win by all the work that they put in.
It was really fun. I remember watching you guys play against LSU, which had to be pretty neat for our program, for LSU to come in here, a premier program, and you get to coach against one of the greats. It was just, I really felt like, yes, we got beat, but it was like, man, we really played good basketball that game. I was really proud of our performance, and it was obviously neat to see the highest of the high levels at LSU. That was really cool.
It was an awesome experience. I was thinking after the game, I was like, I thought it was really cool. And I was like, well, let me ask, our players that they were the ones out there kind of getting manhandled by 6'5", and they loved it. They thought that, again, the same thing. It was an awesome experience to compete against, a team like LSU, a top 5 team in the country, that has, a chance to win a national championship. So it's really
and
cool.
A chance to win a natty. They might even have a couple players that could go to the WNBA as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, local product from Savannah, Flau'jae Johnson, and it was really cool to just see her impact on the community down here. That game was the highest attendance for a men's or women's basketball game at Georgia Southern, and obviously we appreciate the people that came out to support us, but that's a fan base that she's built over the course of her career.
Yeah,
and,
no doubt.
She's a humble superstar, so I think it's cool for Southeast Georgia that she's going to be a WNBA player.
That's super neat. And the exploding of the WNBA, and obviously Caitlin Clark had a huge effect, but there's just names that, even for myself, I love all sports, and I found myself getting way more into women's sports as well, especially with my daughter and trying to root, her on and go to the games. But the Caitlin Clark effect and, Dawn Staley and some of these names I probably never would have heard of. And now you're like, man, this is actually really cool to watch the success and watch the growth of especially the WNBA. Back in the day, your trajectory, kind of topped out, but now they're getting paid more. It's like really some cool stuff going on.
It is. It is really cool. It's kind of surreal to go to a WNBA game and, it be sold out, or some of these college games. It's cool because these young girls are aspiring to play in that kind of environment too. They work hard, your whole lives to get to that point. And so it's awesome to see them being rewarded and supported in that way.
And the Caitlin Clark effect is just so real. She just came out and just balled out, and she's just so fun to watch. It's really cool. I actually got her, Stella Caitlin Clark, signed. It was a really cool story. Grant, my son, won her the jersey at a carnival event, with those rigged rims. And so he won her the jersey.
Oh, that's impressive. You made one?
Yeah, it's probably luck. But anyhow, and so then Josh Aubrey, a local sports reporter, took it down, and she was playing a little pro or some kind of celebrity golf thing, and he got her to sign it. So it was really cool. So we framed it and all the things. But definitely, I'm hoping she stays healthy because Stella loves to watch her play.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's so. What do you think? Would you say you're a more defensive-minded coach or an offensive-minded coach? Where's your headspace at with that?
So I always lean towards the defensive side, although I do like to score points. I always say I'm a defensive coach, and so on our staff, I have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special teams, and she does our baseline, sideline, out of bounds, into games. And so we had the number 1 defense in the Sun Belt this year.
Okay.
All season we were really, really dominant defensive team. So I am a defensive-minded coach, but I hate playing in the 60s. I'm looking at our offensive coordinator okay, we're guarding here, but let's get in the 70s. So we do want to score the ball, but we really sell our team on being that defensive team because we talk about defense travels. Defense never has a bad shooting night.
Right.
If you can really defend, then you're always probably going to be in a game. I think this year's team, again, was really bought into that. We took teams out of what they wanted to do. You were going to have to go beyond your third option, probably, to the fourth or fifth, whether that's player or way that you try to score. Our team was really, really locked into being that great defensive team this year, and it won us the regular season championship. So, but yeah, I think our defense kind of goes into our, turns into our offense. So, one thing this year, or typically for me, like we're going to press and we run and jump and we try to create steals and get out in transition. So we did have to reinvent ourselves a little bit this year, which is why I'm really, really proud of this team. Like we lost senior Jashanti Simmons about 70% of the way through the season. She was a starter, a senior, a captain, one of our 4 returners. She's top 5 in several statistical categories in the conference. Like, that
major loss.
It can't even be overstated how big of a loss that was for our team. Like she was our engine, and we lost her at a really critical time. And I'll be honest, I was really concerned for our team after that.
You're like, is the nosedive coming?
Yeah, I always play a short bench as a coach. Like I try to coach how I wanted to be coached, right? So it's like as a player, like if I earn a starting spot or
let me get my minutes.
I want to play my minutes.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
We only play 7, and she's a starter. So when she goes out now, a guard that's kind of 6th man playing 15 minutes is now a starter, and now a guard that's not playing at all is the 6th man. And again, when you're almost, you're 70% of the way through your conference schedule, your identity is established. And so I just say that to give our team credit, because I think a lot of times a critical injury like that can be a reason that your team doesn't reach its potential.
Fold up.
And our players found a way. And so not only those players that hadn't played much, they had to step into that role, but like our senior point guard, Destiny Garrett, Keshia Anderson, who ended up being the player of the year, McKenna Eddings, those seniors that they were already playing at a really high level. Like we were like, you have to be even better. And they answered the call. So I think that was probably, just one of the coolest things that I've ever seen, is just as far as like a toughness and a team coming together. But I said Shanti, she was the leader of our defense. She was top 5 in the conference in steals. She was top 10 in the conference in rebounds. She was our leading rebounder. She led us in steals. And so we couldn't do our run and jump press pretty much the rest of the season after that. And that was a way that we generated about 12 points a game. And so, we had to adjust. And so now we're like, okay, now we have to be, we were already a really good half-court team, but now we have to be even better. Like we have to be really stingy in the half-court, because we're not creating these steals, in the full court that are leading to those easy points.
Yep. And each year you said, last year you had to do kind of your offensive style differently. I guess each year, based off like the players you recruit, you might have to tweak the things you do. Is that kind of a year-to-year thing based on your player's skill set?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to be adaptable. Like in a perfect world, you can marry a system and then just purely recruit to that. And we do that a little bit with what we want to do defensively. Like that's why, the character, competitiveness, skill set, and athleticism. Because I feel like, okay, if we're athletic and we have some length, then we could do a ton of different things on both sides of the ball that could be really good for us. But yeah, year 1 we were the biggest team in the conference, and we played 2 post players, and we could really punish people inside. But we were last in 3-point field goal percentage defense, because they constantly put us in the pick and pop, and we couldn't guard the 3-point line.
Okay.
So this year we said, okay, we're okay with giving up some size to be more versatile, so that we can defend the 3-point line better. And we definitely wanted to shoot the 3-point shot better. So we led the league in 3-point percentage this year as a team.
That's awesome.
And then obviously we were a really good defensive team. And so, but teams.
That's going to win you a lot of games.
That's right. You saw it down the stretch. People did punish us inside. Like, we were small, so people were going to come down and just throw it in. And, we committed to it. So most of the time we don't send doubles. We just say, hey, we'll give up the 2, and we try to get it in quickly and come down and get a 3.
Right.
And that was kind of how teams beat us our first year. So we were like, hey, we had 2 really good post players, and we still lost a lot of close games. And so we just weren't, we were just, telling our players like, hey, we have to be, we have to be committed to what we do. And so, again, if they make it 2,
you might have a little weakness, but you just go right back into your strength.
That's right.
Yeah. How about like after, when each game ends, like what's the stat that you look at and go, man, we did this so good. Like, what's your favorite like little stat that's like, all right, this is what we did well today?
It's just the turnover, right? We want to take care of the basketball, and we have a good assist numbers, and that means we're really moving it and sharing it really well. That and the rebounding numbers. And so that was one thing this year with us being a smaller team. Rebounding, honestly, has been our deficiency all year. Like, we're not built to be a great rebounding team.
Right.
We're playing 5 out offensively, which is going to take away, offensive rebounding opportunities. And then on the defensive end, we're giving up 2, 3, 4 inches on the, in the interior pretty much every game. So, we just try to really develop the mentality to battle. And so one thing that we recognize after each game is we have our GATA on the glass, and then we have our defensive player of the game.
Okay.
And so that's always just, somebody, maybe it's Steele or maybe it's whoever guarded their best player, which for us, 99% of the time is McKenna Eddings. She's a really versatile defender. But we really wanted to reward that rebounding. So we did a cool thing this year. If you had at least 5 rebounds, you got recognized for Gata on the glass. So that's something that we put on social media. And you also got to spin this wheel in the locker room after. And when you spin the wheel, there's a post-game meal, meaning you get to choose the next post-game meal.
Okay.
There's a sprint saver, so the next time we have to run at practice, you've got a sprint saver.
Okay.
There's drill sergeant, so whatever their least favorite drill is, then they can say. So there's some rebounding drills they don't like. So if we pick that one and they say, hey, I got my drill sergeant, then I just pick a different rebounding drill. But
hilarious.
Either way, they get some choices there. So that was just a way that we wanted to reward that and do something that a lot of times people are thinking about, right? Points. And so we're like, how do we add value in rebounding and really make our players bought in on that?
I think that's really good. Like I get a little, not discouraged, just it's some of the stuff when I think, like, let's say for a middle school team, we should spotlight who was the rookie of the year, who was the most improved player, who was the MVP, because it motivates people, right? Like, all right, well, this guy was the rookie of the year coming in for his middle school team. Next year, maybe an upcoming player who goes, man, I want to be the rookie of the year. Maybe, so it's like even down to the game level, I love spotlight individual players because it makes them hungry for the next time. Hey, you had 3, for like basketball or whatever, maybe you didn't score but 2 points, but you had 10 assists. So you were, the spotlight, I think, is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It's just it's a motivation piece that carries to each game.
Right.
So I do think that's a neat touch. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. So who was your favorite basketball player of all time growing up watching?
It was Allen Iverson. I had put Allen Iverson or Jackie Stiles. Again, I don't know. We got to go play at Missouri State this year, which is in my hometown, and so
that's neat.
We had to put our players through like it was Southwest Missouri at the time, a really Jackie Stiles masterclass, and I showed them some videos on her, and they got to see, like, again, this was Jackie Stiles had the Caitlin Clark phenomenon first. Honestly,
she was the OG.
She was, but there wasn't social media and all of those things. But again, you think about like a 5'7" guard, she took a mid-major to the Sweet 16 in the Final Four. Like, it's incredible, and she had that same pandemonium around her, and like this is again a small university that was packed out. She had that same following, so it was cool just to educate our players on that. So Jackie Stiles and Allen Iverson, those were my favorite players. But of course, I was growing up during the UConn era, so Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Elena Beard, like there's so many, but those two, I have it on my bucket list. I'm like, how can I meet Allen Iverson? There's no way I'm going to go my whole life and not meet Allen Iverson.
You know what? You're going to meet him because you're projecting, and it's all about projecting your thoughts,
That's
right?
right.
And so AI, if you see this somehow, some way, come give your girl a holler.
Yes, please.
So I see you. How do you like your coffee? Are you black? Are you mixed? What you working with?
I get a white mocha.
A white mocha.
Yes, I get a white mocha from Starbucks. So my mom would lecture me because this has a lot of sugar in it. So I try to just I have an espresso machine at home.
Oh, okay.
And then I do my
go.
sugar-free, but I didn't have any pods today, so I had to go. You could do it. My mom would say I'm drinking all my calories right here.
That's good. I'm all about just drinking it black. My kids know it's just drink it black, no extra stuff. But Lori likes it a little bit of sugar in there. You got to mix it up every now and then. Yeah. So 5 years from now, what would you hope people would say about Georgia's Southern Women's Program?
I hope that they would say that, we have a program that impacts this community. Again, we did 290 hours of community service. And, so we need to continue to recruit, the type of people that want to get out there and do those type of things, because it was never like twisting anybody's arm and things like that. But, I think it starts there, and we want to have, because, we want to have people in the seats. And so we've just talked to our players about continuing to chip away at it. And we saw our support grow this year. And, at our senior night this year, we were not playing well, and we were down double digits. And we went on a 10-0 run, and when we took the lead, the hill, it was so loud.
Just erupted.
And, it had such an impact on the game. And I was so happy for our players because I think they really deserved that.
Yeah,
and
especially on senior night.
Especially
Absolutely.
on senior
And
night.
it's cool. It's probably the tale of your team this year, just going through the different things and battling back on senior night and getting a win and heading into the conference tournament.
Absolutely. So, 5 years from now, I hope that maybe that's something that we're experiencing on a regular basis, just having people in there supporting.
We need our hoop fans. Come out to the Hill. Let's pack the Hill. Let's go. Hey, men and women's team is on the upswing, man. That was an incredible run by Charlie and them. I mean, I haven't seen many runs like that. I don't know if you've seen anything. I mean, it was crazy good.
I have never seen anything like what our men did. It was incredible. It was so inspiring. The day that we lost in the semifinals, obviously that was really depressing, and we were really disappointed. And that night, the men were playing in the semis, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to go watch and support. And it, really obviously helped me take my mind off of our sorrows.
Yes.
But then just sitting there, I'm just like, how can you watch this and not be inspired by what they're doing? Just how hard they played and doing that over the course of 6 days. It seriously was one of the coolest things that I've ever witnessed.
It was. They set all sorts of records, and it's just like they did some things that you just hadn't seen in a while. And it was just, I just love it when it's just, and it was not one player. It was, and it sounds like it was like your team. It was the team. It was a team thing, and that's when it's fun. Yes, basketball can feel very individual sometimes, but it really is cool when your team comes together and clicks.
It really is. So I was so happy for them and for Charlie. Charlie is such a great coach in person, and I just thought, there's some tough stretches in the season, but I thought that tournament is the byproduct of keeping your team together and never giving in and not allowing them to give in either. And you just keep working and to get those type of results. It was incredible. I was just so happy for them.
Well, Hannah, it's been incredible to get to know you today. You obviously know the game of basketball, and I think you have such a bright future ahead. I can't wait to watch you grow and keep our Eagles going, and the future is super bright, Hannah. And thanks for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. I appreciate it.